Okay, I'm going to try something new. We're going to go on a few minutes early, and I have a countdown timer, so it'll tell us when we're supposed to be going live. And that's one of the things that some of the replay viewers say, that if they were there live, they would love all the chatting that we do up front, but when they watch the recording, they tend to fast forward through it. So I thought, okay, so I'll just do a countdown, and then when it's time to go live, then I'll do the live thing and edit it later. So good morning. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. I'm sorry I wasn't here yesterday. And this is kind of a little bit early, so I know a lot of people are used to being here at the top of the hour. So I'm going to do some setting up and get some things going over here that I normally do when I'm in a rush and first on the air too. So Merry Christmas, Brandon. How are you? You know what? It's funny. My sister sent me a note. My sister Lori sent me a note yesterday. She goes, are you going live today? And I kind of forgot that it was Monday. We celebrated Christmas yesterday, Sunday and Monday as well, because my son couldn't make it on Sunday, my oldest son, Ian. So we just went ahead and did Christmas both days. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. So, yeah, I thought we would try this new, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it every day or how I'm going to do it, but I kind of like the countdown timer. I saw a friend of mine did it for her show, and I thought, what the heck, we'll give it a try. That gives us a time to get on and chat and see what's going on before we get into the actual content. Hey, John, how you doing? Merry third day of Christmas. 1, 2, yeah, today's Tuesday. Totally lost a day. Hey, Victoria, how are you? Joanne is here, John is here, Victoria, Lisa, Rex. So this will be, yeah, I'm on early because I'm doing a countdown timer, and I thought some of the replay viewers say that if they were here live, they would like the chat, but when they watch the replay, they just fast forward to the content. So I thought, you know what, why don't I just start coming on, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes early and do the greetings and the chat and everything early, and then when I upload the content, I'll just delete the first part of us just sitting here talking about what we're drinking. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know. So hopefully everybody had a Merry Christmas. And everybody got to spend time with family or the people that they wanted to be with. And it wasn't a crisis. Did anybody have any? Good morning, Catherine. Any crises or... Oh, well, please, John, please tell your mother I said hello. Give her a big hug for me. We need to catch up for sure. Yeah, I thought it was, you know, I saw that a friend of mine did the countdown timer, and I was prepping, and I just really enjoyed my weekend. I lost my light. It's a problem with everything is plugged in down here that I hit it with my foot, and it totally knocked it off. So... yeah, I thought that before we got into content and started talking about things that you can't change. So I don't know, maybe sometimes, I think what I'm going to try to do is come on about 10 minutes early, because I think that's what we normally do is chat for 10 or 15 minutes. So I thought, well, why don't I just come on early, and those people that want to come and chat early can come and chat early, and then at the top of the hour, we'll just dive into content. And then I can roll over into my Periscope show right after that. So we'll see how that goes. Feliz Natal, Feliz Navidad, that's for sure. Yeah, I know I wasn't on yesterday. Thank you, Victoria. You know, it's funny because I hit Walmart. Oh my gosh, funny story at Walmart. I got 1 minute. I hit Walmart early because they put everything, all their Christmas stuff is at 50% off. So I always go buy lights because every year we put the lights away and they all work. Next year when we get the Christmas lights out, half of them won't work. So I always buy lights. 75 turkey dinners for lonely families and individuals. Wow, a busy blessing indeed. That's fantastic, Tammy. So I got there early, and they have the 2 doors and at Walmart. And so I'm down by the door that's over by the garden center because I know that's where the Christmas stuff is, right? And I look down at the other door, which is the food area. There's about 100 people out there. And there's myself and this other woman down at the other door. Well, I recognized her because she actually works there. She said they opened the both doors at the exact same time. So they didn't. They opened the other door first. Well, she was really worried because she had one specific thing that she really wanted to buy. So the guy couldn't get the key to work. And so the door's open and we're looking down there and everybody's going in and she's getting really worried. And I said, don't worry about it. He'll get the door open. By the time you ran all the way down there and then got in the store and all the way back down here, the door will be open. So she sent her husband to go to the other door. So then the door opened. We went inside. And as we got inside, you could feel the energy. Oh, see, Coffee with Colleen is supposed to start. You could feel like the energy in the room that people were running. And I looked down and people like with carts were running down the aisle toward the Christmas area because they wanted that 50% off stuff. And it was terrifying. So I just wanted to check and see if it, just needed lights. I figured there'd probably be 1,000 lights. And there were plenty of lights. It was insane. It was like out of a movie. I was waiting to hear the soundtrack of like a war. This man, probably 70 years old, he like shoves people out of the way and he's just running. And he goes and on the end cap were those gift sets, like Pantene was what it was. It was the Pantene. You could get like a shampoo and a regular conditioner and a deep conditioner. And so it was the Christmas gift set. Well, those Christmas gift sets are nice because you normally pay for like 2 normal things and get something for free. And then at Christmas, it's 50% off. So it is a really good deal. But he's like shoving people out of the way and jams his cart to this end cap and reaches over his cart and starts grabbing all these gift sets off the shelf and just dumping them into his cart. Each shelf, he just dumps into his cart and dumps into his cart. Well, one of them boxes bounced out of the cart and onto the ground. And I went, I like Pantene. I want this. So I picked it up and he goes, that's mine. I said, no, it's mine. He goes, were you going to keep it? I went, yeah. He was out of control, just totally out of control. And there's these little old ladies there trying to get their 50% off, and he was just shoving people out of the way. So yeah, it was quite interesting. Mass humanity. Definitely crazy after Christmas. Yeah, I didn't see any fights on the news, but I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised. So it was crazy. It was cray, out of control. So yeah, I went and I got my stuff, and then I got home and started prepping for my son to come over, and we did a breakfast. So we really kind of celebrated Christmas both days. So we did a partial. Let me turn this off. A partial Christmas on Sunday, and then the other half of Christmas on Monday. So we didn't do Christmas dinner until Monday and everything. So I kind of lost track of the fact that yesterday was Monday. I was thinking it was Christmas. So people were texting me, are like, you okay? And if I had thought about it, I would have gone live, but I didn't think about it. So yeah, some people do turn materialism into an idol. A lot of people do. And, our culture is kind of that way with the advertising and the marketing, but it's always been this way. It's part of the human condition. It's part of human nature. It's part of, quite frankly, original sin, that we tie the wrong things in. So that's one of the things, that's why I wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about today. And if it's your first time joining us, my name is Colleen Hammond. I am a former on-camera meteorologist for the Weather Channel, turned executive image consultant, coach, and mentor. And I help people craft their personal image, their body language, their poise, their online presence, and their live communication skills. And help them to polish it up. I do have a course I teach with using OBS, which is what I use as a producer to do my live shows, to do things like these lower thirds and these top scrolls. And where's my snow? I think I took my snow off already. Maybe it's over here. Yeah, there's the snow. Do things like adding effects and snow and that type of thing. But it is in the class that I teach that's at the bit.ly link, OBS Pros. And currently I have a 20% coupon that you can use to get 20% off. It's normally $47. I used to teach 2 courses, like the beginning and the advanced. And as opposed to trying to keep track of all of that, I'm just dumping everything into the beginning course. So if you get in now, you're getting in, the price is going to be going up the new year to $97 as opposed to $47, because I'm putting all the green screen effects things and all that kind of stuff. It's just easier to put everything in one program. And I'm finding that once people get the basic stuff down, it only takes, like a couple of days to learn how to use basic OBS. Once they get that down, then they really want to learn more. So I'm just piling it all into one. So anyway, all right, let's get rid of the snow. Because I don't want to see snow. It's cold. Good morning, Mary. How are you? Sherry stays home until after the beginning of the year. Yeah, probably a really good idea. A really good idea. So let's talk. Let me move this over here. Let's talk about, speaking of materialism. Oh, and these are my new glasses the girls got me for Christmas. Like a little leopard print on the side. And I like them because they're nice and big so I can see. And that's a problem with, these are fun. Darcy found some red ones, but these aren't, I've had these for a while. These are fun, but I kind of wear them here so that I can see. And so that when I'm looking at the camera, it goes right in front of my eye. So she bought me these, and I really, really like them because they're nice and big and I can see and they're wide. And she did a beautiful job. Hey, good morning, Lori. So let me go over to my notes. So things we can't change. Why do we try to change these things when we can't change them? It's like beating our head against the wall. And these are things that, and it's all, we can change the world one outfit at a time, or we can change the world one person at a time. And there's certain things that we just can't change. And my oldest son, Ian, and I were talking yesterday. It's so nice to have him come over and sit and chat and talk politics and know the changes he's been through in his life and how things have happened and just to sit and talk to adult children is amazing. And it was so funny because, well, I can't get into that. I'm not going to talk about that. But when their friends come to us for advice, that's what Ian was saying yesterday, because one of his friends came to me for advice, and unbeknownst to my son, his buddy, came to me for advice, and I gave him the exact same advice, come to find out, that my son had given him. So his buddy calls Ian and says, well, your mom told me the same thing that you told me. Did you call and tell her that I was going to call, to talk to her? And he said, well, I didn't even know you were going to talk to her, number one. And number two, she raised me. Don't you think we might give the same advice? She raised me. So we kind of think the same. So it's kind of funny. All right. So things we should stop trying to change. Number one, we're all accountable. You're going to be accountable to other people in your life. That just doesn't change. As much as we want to be independent and we want to, rule our own lives, we have laws that we have to be accountable to in our culture and our society that maintain order. Otherwise, it's chaos. And of course, chaos is, God took the chaos and created out of it, and so chaos is more of the devil than anything else. But trying to take shortcuts, trying to bend the rules, trying to, the ends justify the means. The ends never justify, or the means never justify. You can't do evil even if you know or think you know that good will come from it, because you're still doing something that's bad. So trying to, gotta go get Lisa. We all have to answer to somebody at some point. And even if you get away with something, God's always watching. So you have that accountability at the pearly gates too. So, but just to recognize that we're always accountable to somebody, so that you can't just do whatever you want to do just to get whatever you want, because people will be hurt. And, and it is kind of scary just to think that you are in charge, quite frankly. You're not going to live forever. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. We push ourselves so hard, and I know I totally disconnected this weekend. I just unplugged, and it felt good. I didn't check email. I didn't have my phone with me. My phone was in the office. I totally, as you could tell because I totally forgot about yesterday, I totally lost track of time. I just enjoyed my family, and I enjoyed the holiday. And I got a chance to see my pastor Sunday and talk to him privately, which I haven't had a chance to do in a long time, which is amazing because it was Christmas Day. I really, really, really relaxed and enjoyed my weekend. And I hope you did too. I know that I was talking to some business people and they're like, well, you gotta tap in, you gotta check, and you gotta send these emails, and these are big sales days. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that. I know that's supposed to be the business thing to do and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't want people checking their email. And I opened my email, and Christmas Day from yesterday, there were so many emails from, I'm on all these lists, and they weren't all Merry Christmas emails. They were, here's a sale I'm running for you. And I know you're supposed to do that, and that offends me. So I didn't do it. And they were like, you're going to lose a lot of sales. You're going to lose a lot of money. I said, I don't care. I'm not going to do it. It's not me. And I have to be true to who I am, right? Anyway, so you're going to die. You're going to die. So in the midst of the craziness, don't skip your vacation time. Don't miss your time with your family. Think about, and I'm going to do a show on this, on somebody sent me a priest's list. I think I've done this before, but I got an updated list that a priest who has been so many times for 60 years, been at bedsides for people who are dying, the things that they regret, and it's spending time with family. So, oops. Oh, people are sending me messages. Good morning, Patricia. Oh, let me check over here. There we go. Dun, da, da, da. So, all right. I'm trying to monitor comments. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, Janet, hey, good morning. Listening and multitasking, ready to go out the door for appointments. There you go. There we go. Yeah. Okay, yes. All right, where am I? Number 3. You can't please everyone. Seriously, stop it. No matter what you do, somebody's not going to be happy with you. Somebody's not going to like you. Somebody's not going to be pleased. And it goes back to the old Aesop's fable where there's a man and a boy, and they're leaving their farm, and they have their donkey, and they're heading to town. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but, basically that they pass somebody, and somebody says, look at that young man making his dad walk. He should put his dad up in the donkey. If he was any kind of son, he would make sure that his dad didn't have to walk. And so they were, gosh, that's right, I should ride the donkey, right? And so the older man gets up on the donkey. And as they're walking along, the boy stubs his toe, and now he's limping. He's like, oh, no big deal. So they're walking along, and then somebody else says, oh, look at that mean dad. Look at his son's limp and game, and he can't even walk, and his old man's making his son walk, So they go, oh, that probably looks bad. So then the dad gets off the donkey, and the young boy gets on the donkey. And then they're walking along, and they pass somebody else. They say, oh, it's so hot out, that poor donkey, and he's trying to carry this way. A young guy, he's young enough, he can walk, and then poor donkey, so they get off. So then they get into, so it goes on, and they pass. Everybody they pass has a different bit of advice for them. And then they were like, that poor donkey is probably been, so they strap the donkey up, and they tie it to a pole, and they're carrying the donkey because they, somebody had said the poor donkey was probably tired, So as they're carrying the donkey panics, struggles, the pole breaks, the donkey falls in the water because they're crossing a bridge, and the donkey drowns, So everybody from the outside looking in, they're going to give you opinions of your life and what you should be doing. And you have to stay true to yourself. You have to stay true to your ethics, your morals, your virtues, your goals in life, the things that you want to do, that from the outside looking in, people don't have the full story. So you can't please everyone. So you have to do what you know is right and stick to your guns ethically and morally. And it's a soul-sucking, thankless job to try to make everybody happy. And with the internet and with social media and with, we were watching a movie yesterday, and it was talking about, it didn't mention Facebook, but it didn't mention social media specifically, but there was a line in the movie that said, never have so many lives not lived been so well documented. And as people spend so much time on social media that they're not out living their lives, but they're talking a lot on social media, and it was like, wow, shut down the social media and go live your life, you know? But anyway, so you can't please everyone, so stop trying. Number 4, quit trying to compete with the Joneses. And that's a marketing and advertising thing as well, is that there's so many times where, let me go back to, I just deleted comments. Here we go. Soul sucking. I fell back, that fell back on comments. Yeah, okay. Perspective. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. So you can't keep up with people. You can't keep up with the Joneses. So quit trying. You know, don't compare yourself to other people either. And don't try to be someone that you're not. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later, about families of origin. But I say this all the time. Just outside the screenshot, it's a hot mess, right? We all try to put our best foot forward. We all try to project the best of us. We don't. I brush my hair. I make sure I spend my 5 minutes, floofing my face, right? For charity purposes. You don't want to see me when I first roll out of bed in the morning, right? But we all do that. We when we get our picture taken, wait a minute, let me check, and part of it's vanity, but also we all try, well, a lot of it's vanity. We try to put our best foot forward. And everybody does that. So when you're looking at someone else's situation, you have to understand that the human condition is that we're all dealing with something. All of us. Everybody here watching this morning has something going on in their life that they're dealing with, that we may not want other people to know about, or we're not going to burden somebody else with, or it's none of anybody's business, right? So all of us are dealing with a relationship issue somewhere in our life, or a job situation, or a financial problem, or, the list goes on and on. We're all dealing with something. So when you look at someone else and they're smiling and everything is great, there's things that you don't know. How many times, and I say this quite often, but how many times do celebrities commit suicide because they're miserable? And from the outside looking in, their life looks amazing, but they're dealing with things that no one knows about, or very few people know about, or only their closest friends and family members know about. So when you look at somebody else and go, oh, their children are great, or, I wish I had their life, or, whatever. Life's not a competition, except for if you're competing with yourself. So stop comparing yourself to the Joneses and compare yourself to yourself. Where were you yesterday, last week, last month, last year? Are you growing in virtue? Are you growing in charity? Are you growing in humility? Are you growing in love for your family? Are you, those are the things you want to compete with within yourself. Because when you start comparing yourself to other people, it's a no-win situation. Because you're comparing yourself to an ideal. You're not comparing yourself to reality anyway, because you don't know what's going on. So stop it. Stop it. All right, number 5, holding grudges. Holding grudges have absolutely no positive effect. You're not hurting the other person by carrying a grudge against them. You're hurting yourself. What comes from it? Personal pain, unhappiness, bad feelings. And I keep saying this, your feelings actually release hormones and chemicals into your bloodstream. Happy feelings do happy things to your body. Bad feelings cause bad things to happen to your body. So holding a grudge or feeling, carrying these things around only hurt yourself. They don't do anything positive whatsoever. Let me see. Mary says, one of the biggest faults is trying to please everyone. Yeah, I tend to be way too self-conscious. Oh, I wonder if that makes me look dumb. And you end up stressed out. Yeah. Don't, within reason, don't worry about what other people think, right? Fake it till you make it. Takes a lot of energy to fake it till you make it. Exhausting, and you may not make it. Yeah. Well, there is some science to the fake it till you make it. Some very strong science behind that. But when you're trying to fake it in every single solitary area of your life, you're lacking that authenticity and you're lacking that truthfulness. Sometimes there's a fake it till you make it that works. Fake it till you become it is actually the better psychological term, is what they've done with a lot of the studies. And that works in some areas, but when you're trying to multitask, fake it till you make it in all areas of your life, it's kind of a losing proposition. So don't carry grudges. It really does nothing. It doesn't hurt the person that you're carrying a grudge about, oh, I just don't like that person because and then you literally are carrying a grudge. And you literally are weighed down by it, because it's almost like a physical thing where you really do get brought down by that. So no grudges. And this ties into what Mary was saying in a similar vein, caring what other people think. You can't change other people's minds. You can't make anyone love you, like you, forgive you, respect you. If they don't want to, ain't gonna happen. So we spend so much time, I think, focusing on like the one person. And I loved when Jennifer Lopez, I saw an interview with her, and she was talking about in a performance situation where she's got 50,000 people there at her event. And there was a man right down in the front that was like this. He had his arms crossed and he was just looking at her and he wasn't smiling. And everybody else is having a good time. And she said, I found myself focusing on him and wondering, why are 49,999 people having a great time and he's not? I have to make sure he has a good time, right? So she spent all of her time focused on this one guy, and then she went, wait a minute. Why don't I focus on the 49,999 people that are having a good time and make sure that I enhance their experience, right? And then I thought, gosh, so again, it goes back to, taking somebody that's a celebrity and she's got 49,999 people that just absolutely love her, paid a lot of money to be there, and are sending her all this love during her performance, right? And this one guy is like sending these. But what do we see in our life? We're like, oh my gosh, somebody doesn't like us. It's going to happen. There are going to be people in our life that don't like us, that don't like what we've done, but are we going to focus on that one person or those two people or whatever? Or do we want to focus on all the other love that's in our life? What would you rather be looking at all day long? Some grumpy face of somebody that doesn't like you, or focus on all the people that do like you and love you? And there is something to be said like, okay, maybe I need to analyze why this person doesn't like me, or do I need to apologize? And if you apologize and they don't accept your apology, then there's nothing you can do that to go back to the one that you can't change people, right? Where you apologize, get it, and move on. Because if you've done and tried to repair the damage to the best of your ability, if you have done any damage and they're not accepting that, then there's absolutely nothing you can do. Move on. Stop focusing on it. Christine, I get that we shouldn't hold judges, but how do we let go of the hard feelings when they still bother us, even when we don't want them to? I know, I deal with that too, Christina. I think it's a prayer situation. You have to pray God, help you to let go of those things. And, I had a situation happen, oh gosh, what is this, 2016? So it was around 13 years ago. And they say you're over it when you don't talk about it anymore. And I think I stopped talking about it maybe a year ago. It just was so hurtful. And they never apologized. Matter of fact, they said they would never apologize because what they did was right when it wasn't. And because I'm a choleric, I have a big justice issue. So it was so unjust what they had done. And it was a lie. And it was, so damaging. It totally destroyed my reputation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. and the 3 people who were responsible for it have absolutely no regrets to this day, I guess. And it took me almost, like, probably a good solid 10 years for me to pray to forgive them, to pray to forgive them, to pray to forgive them. And I prayed for them and in their situation. That's the only recommendation I can make, Christina, is just to pray about it and ask God to help you to let it go and to help you focus on other things. Because it really doesn't do any good. It doesn't change them, and it only makes you more miserable. And, you know, anytime I got to the point where I would think about it, and I would think and think and think about it. I'm like, gosh, so I got in the habit of every time that thought came into my mind, I stopped it, I prayed for them, and I focused on something else. Offered up, let it go. Absolutely. So, number 7. Yesterday's over. You can't get it back. You can't redo it. You can't change it. Don't dwell on it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move on. We've all made mistakes. The only thing you can do is repair the damage to the best of our ability and to make sure that we've learned from it and not do it again. But you can't go back and you can't Alt Control Delete and do a redo. So not to focus on it, not to dwell on it, not to beat yourself up for it. Do the best of your ability to repair the damage and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move on. Number 8. You can't change the world. We can change the world. What? No, you really can't. You can change yourself. You can change the impact that you have on the world. You can monitor your expectations of the world. And I think this is where I know I have a challenge, and where I get into more trouble is when my expectations of what should be or what ought to be don't match up. You know, people shouldn't do that. People shouldn't knock over little old ladies with their cart and scoop things off the shelf, right? But it happens. So thinking that we can change certain things, you just can't. You just can't. Good, Victoria. Thank you. I'm glad that you're getting something out of it. Just watch your expectations and keep them in check. Because when we expect more from people than they're capable of giving or they're willing to give, that's when our feelings are hurt or when we feel let down. And, you know, just keep your expectations low. And I think that's not being pessimistic or anything, but I think we get, I don't want to say Pollyanna either. But anyway, we set our expectations too high sometimes, and then people don't reach them, and then we're disappointed and we're sad. But they should, and they ought, and they don't. Number 9, family of origin. We're not all born into millionaire families. And you can't change that. You can change where you're going and what you do with what you have, but you can't change your family of origin. There is, there is this great book that my friend Barb gave me to read. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It should run out. It's sitting on my island in my kitchen. It should run out. She did a second book and somebody just sent it to me. Anyway, it was called Crystal Palaces or something like that. And I forget. But it was about a woman who was born in a totally abusive situation and raised in the situation where it was really bad. It was really bad. And she talked about, she was 3 years old. She remembers when she was 3 years old and her mom, she was home alone. She was home alone all the time. She doesn't remember her parents ever being there, but she was 3. And so she wanted to make herself some hot dogs. So she pulled a stool over to the gas stove and got out the pan and put the water in the pan and put some hot dogs to boil some hot dogs. And she reached for something and she leaned over and her little pinafore, or her dress or whatever, caught on fire. And so then, just everything that so then she ends up going to the emergency room where one of the neighbors sees the house is on fire or something. I forget how it all happened. I read it years ago. So she goes to the emergency room and she's got all these burns and everything. It's like, where's your mom? Well, she was at work. So then she ends up getting taken out of the home, put into foster care. Then her mom comes and kidnaps her out of this foster care and moves her to another state, and then gets into this other bad relationship. And then her mom's like this drug addict, and both of her parents are abusive and drug addicts and all that. And they keep moving all over the place. And how she had these rips in her jeans, but so that people couldn't see the rips, she would take a magic marker and color her skin black underneath the rips so that people wouldn't see the rips in her jeans. I mean, it was just a horrible. It was so gut-wrenching and heart-wrenching what she went through, and how she saved all this money, and how her dad was an addict, and she saved this money so she could get out of this situation in her family. And her dad found her money and stole all her money from her and spent it on drugs. And then he was out of money, so he took her to the bar and pimped her out to some guy for money so he could get money for drugs. And now she's a multimillionaire living in New York City, running this huge business and this huge company. And she will occasionally see her mom still living on the streets. She'll pass by her mom. And it was like she was in her limo going to, I think, like the Lincoln Center to receive this huge award. And out of the backseat of the limo, they stopped at this light and she looked out, and there was her mom living on the street, digging through a dumpster. And she had tried for years. She had tried to help her parents, but I think her parents are both dead now. But for years, she tried to help her parents. She tried to get them into rehab. She tried to do all these things, and they refused the help. She set them up in an apartment. They wouldn't live there. They preferred to live on the street and be grifters and, beg money. They didn't want a job. And that was her family of origin. And it was so humiliating to her for so many years until finally she just embraced it, accepted it, and talks about it, and has written a couple of books about it now, about how this was her life. And it doesn't matter what your background is, it's what you're doing with your life right now. Crystal cathedrals, crystal castles, I can't remember what it's called. But it was amazing. But you can't change where you came from. Some people come from a millionaire background. You can't change that. People with money make more money. How many times there's stories of millionaires who have lost their money over and over again, and they get it back because they start over. They've got nothing, and they go and start a new business and work their way up. So where you came from is where you come from. It's your background. It is what it is. And you can control where you're going. You can't control where you came from. And you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to, bring it into the forefront if you don't want to. There's people that come from millionaire families that don't want to talk about it. They don't want people to know. It's embarrassing to them. They just want to be treated like a normal person. And also people that come from millionaire families too. It's like people are always hitting them up for money. So maybe they don't want to talk about it either, So where you came from doesn't matter. It's where you are today and where you are going forward from here on out. Number 10. I think we need to get over the fact that there's no such... Oh, Rose, yes, you're the one that sent me the backup. You should, that's the one that's sitting on my island right now. What's the name of the first book that she wrote? I've been meaning to email you. I'm so sorry. The name of the book, because you just sent me the follow-up. You sent me the follow-up book, the red book that you sent with Kira's jacket, which she loved, by the way. I need to send you a picture of her wearing the jacket. Crystal something or other was the first book, and then you sent me the follow-up book, which I haven't read yet. So think on it. The Glass Castle, Jeanette Walls. That's it. That's the one. Amazing story. Amazing story. I mean, but be prepared, because you talk about not being able to change the world. I looked at her situation. I was reading the book. It was gut-wrenching what she went through. But that's all she knew. That was her life. That's all she knew. And how she met with a counselor. I think they were living in North Carolina or something at the time, and how she met with the school counselor. Anyway, you can't change it. Can't change your background. Glass Castle. All right, so where are we? 10, privacy. Nothing's really private anymore. A buddy of mine is an internet security expert. And there's been situations like competitions for people who are experts in privacy, who it was like a $10 million prize or something like that. If you could hide for 365 days, if they could stay out and not be found and not have anybody know anything about them for 1 year, they would win some extraordinary prize. No one's ever been able to win it. And these people are experts in privacy. So even like going up and living in a cabin in Montana, I mean, you've got to buy groceries. And there's cameras everywhere, right? You have to pay your bills. So you would have to totally be off the grid, growing all your own food, milking your own goat or cow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And even then, I think they tried it even then, and they weren't able to do it. And even in our little tiny small town of 265 people, our post office is a single wide trailer. There's a camera in there. So I'm not saying not to stand up for privacy, right? But times they are a changin', and there's not much that we can do about privacy issues much anymore. Your emails, your cell phones. If you use email, if you use a cell phone, there's data all over the place on us. And, that also means you can't get away with anything. So, don't try, right? But we don't have that privacy anymore. We just don't. And if you think you still do and you think it's still attainable, bless your heart, it's not. All right, and number 11. Last but not least, you can't get back what you've lost. That's like trying to not be pregnant anymore. It's not going to happen, If you lost money, you can get that back. If you've, damaged a relationship, you might be able to repair that relationship. But there are some things that are lost forever. And even relationships that have been damaged, you can rekindle them, but they're still damaged. There's still that scar. And when we talk to our children about, when you commit a sin, it's like a piece of wood. And I got this from somebody else. I didn't make this up. It's like a piece of wood. And what you do is if you've damaged a relationship, it's like taking a nail and hammering it into that piece of wood. So now the relationship is damaged. So even when you take that nail out and you repair the damage to the wood, you get some wood putty and you put some wood putty in there, and then you sand it down and you sand the wood floor off, right? And then you resurface the whole thing. There's still that piece of damage that's there. So even things that we've repaired, there's something that happened, and then we make an apology, and there's the forgiveness there, and then we move on in the relationship. Even though it's repaired, it's never going to be quite the same. It could be better because of what you've been through together, but it's never going to be the same. So things that are lost, try to maintain as much as you can in your life, because sometimes when things are lost, they're never going to be the same. They're just not. And to accept that. And I think that's the overarching theme with all of this, is that when there's things that you just can't change, so let it go. Instead of looking backwards all the time or looking around at all this other stuff, let's look closer to the people that are in our lives and the things that we do have that impact over, and the things we can love and maintain right now, and not focus on a lot of those externals. So anyway, I hope that was helpful and that you were able to pick something up out of all of that. And let me go back through them really quick. So you are accountable to someone else. Always remember that there is that accountability. You're going to die. Life isn't forever. So focus on loving those people in your life, the here and the now, and the things you can impact. Remember, you can't please everybody. So quit trying. Focus on the things that you can do. Don't compete with other people because you don't know what's going on in their life. Everybody's putting out their perfect picture. So don't try to compare yourself to other people. Don't hold grudges. They're very heavy. They're really, really heavy. And they don't do any good to carry grudges. Don't worry about what other people think. It's none of their business. They don't know the full story anyway. So move along. Yesterday, you can't change it. Don't worry about it. Let's move on. You can't change the world. People ought not or should not, and they do anyway. So deal with it. You can't change where you came from. If you were born a millionaire, you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. If you were born in abject poverty, you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. But it formed who you are today. So thank God for that. Because who you are today has something to do with your family of origin. Whether it was a horrible situation like Jeanette Wall's, right? Or if it was a great situation and you came from a perfect family. And I think what's something that I had a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist said, and I've heard this from other people too, is like we all come from dysfunctional families. There was, because of original sin, nobody came from the perfect family. You really don't. Every single solitary family out there is dysfunctional in some way or another because of original sin. So it's okay. I keep knocking my light off. I have to stop kicking that plug. So where you came from, it's okay. Embrace it. It's part of who you are today, and that's all right. You're not going to get your privacy back unless there's an apocalypse, right? So you have to understand that and know that and do the best you can to protect your own privacy. I'm a public figure, right? So I pretty much have kissed privacy goodbye because of public documents and everything. And it's just, there's nothing much I can do. What's lost is lost. So that's okay. Move on and realize that is what it is. Disadvantages to living in a finite world, says Brandon. Absolutely. Yeah. Great topic. Thanks, Linda. I'm glad. Thank you again. Thanks, Lori. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we're going over what we're doing over the next year and coming up with topics and everything. So we're always open to topic ideas, always open to people. You know what I'd really like to get is wouldn't it be awesome if I could get Jeanette Walls to come on the show and interview her? That would be amazing. So, all right. So let's start working on some prayer requests. And I'll go over to the group and pull up the prayer requests from the group and see what we have over there. In the meantime, y'all can start putting on your topics or your prayer requests in the comments section. For those who are suffering alone, especially this time of year. Oh, that's a beautiful one. For my strength to return, that I have the resolve to take care of myself, says MT. For BP, praying for a special intention. For LL, for our nation and the world. Janet, of course, is always such a great prayer warrior, praying for those in need. For LW, her preemie twins and toddler, that they stay healthy and strong this flu and RSV season. For LD, for all the homeless, homeless people and people who are celebrating the holidays alone. For somebody that's pregnant with a little girl and is terrified. Prayers for my friend Lisa, battling liver cancer, for my sister Sherry. Tammy, for prayers for a young family burnt on Christmas Eve at their lake house. Yikes. We had the gal down the street, her house burned to the ground. So like the week before Christmas. So that's always devastating and sad as well. So anyway, so thank you all for being here this morning. I appreciate it. And from now on, 4 people passed. Wow. Wow, Tammy, that's horrible. Lori asked for prayers for good news on her upcoming tests. And Thanksgiving for a family member who had great test results last week. Let me see. Somebody else asked for my prayers and I didn't write it down. And I hate when I do that. So God knows who that person is. So the prayer request that someone had sent me that I forgot to write down. And God knows who it is. So prayers for that. All right. All right. See you, Sherry. So sad. From Toronto. Mom and Dad were lawyers. Wow. Janet, for her energy and health, always to take a diamond spa when God wants me to make special offerings for someone going on in the world. Absolutely. So prayers for Janet, that she has the energy to pray and make special offerings for that. And of course, Janet's a great prayer warrior, praying for all those in need. So I am going to refresh my coffee, and I'll do the same top again over on Periscope and hopefully YouTube Live. And if you felt that you got something out of this, please share this video, like, comment, and share so that we keep getting featured in Facebook's live feed, which is always exciting. I don't know if we were featured last week. I think we were only featured once last week. So if you feel that this was a good topic, please comment and share the video as well. Great talk today, says Patricia. Very helpful. Prayer request conversion for my nephew, financial need, and for a cousin to get on the transplant liver list. That's who it was. It was Pam and her daughter Evie on. That's coming up. I think her kidney transplant, I believe, is tomorrow. It's either tomorrow, either Wednesday or Thursday. So that's who it was. Thank you. So, Patricia, good thing you asked about the liver transplant, because I know Evie's got the kidney transplant coming up. All right. So, again, if you thought this was useful, please share. And then I will be on, I'll do like the 10-minute early thing again, so we can chat for 10 minutes before the show starts at the top of the hour. And, of course, we are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock in London, and midnight in Melbourne, Australia. So, have an amazing day, and we will see you tomorrow morning. God bless. Bye.